Hey everybody, this is Ted Check, recovering reporter. So you more than likely have heard about the case of the woman who was lit on fire in a New York City subway. Um, this right here is a suspect, and I was going to do a video about how the media omitted. Well, first of all, a lot of the mainstream media, or some of the mainstream media, didn't even cover the incident when it occurred. According to newsbusters.org, ABC, NBC omit horrific migrant burning woman to death on New York City subway. Um, and you got this story where they don't even mention that the guy was an illegal, that he was booted out of this country and then snuck his way back into this country. Um, according to Citizen Free Press, the Atlantic did not, in this story, failed to report anything like that. It's just, a crime. Yeah, it's terrible, but they didn't mention a key factor that had the guy, uh, you know, had the guy been detected once again after he snuck back in, or had he not been allowed to sneak back in, um, this crime would not have occurred. What I really want to talk about is what they call the Genovese Syndrome, or the bystander effect. So you look at this graphic here. No one helped. Why did no one help her? Fatal subway burning exposes New York City's sad disconnect to humanity. Right. This guy apparently was fanning the flames. He was fanning the flames. Um, then you had at least, I think this is actually, I don't know if this is the same. There was at least one, if not two, police officers that, if reports are correct, allegedly, if reports are correct, and I've seen the video too, it appears as though they're just kind of walking by. They're not taking any decisive action. Um, that there's no quick, um, decisive movements. They're just kind of passing by, and that's what people call the bystander effect, or the Genovese syndrome, and it stems from this woman, her murder, Kitty Genovese. I learned about this uh, from when I majored in criminal justice. We had to study this case in New York City. It happened in New York City. This woman in 1964 was murdered. She was stalked and murdered by a man, Winston Mosley, and no one would help her. No one helped her. Now, the part that I guess over the years has been disproven is that initially the New York Times said that it was 37, 38 people who could potentially have helped her, and that no one did. Um, but that, I guess that they've pared that down, or let's see here, uh, New York Times coverage. Okay, so the Times ran an article: 37 who saw a murder and didn't call police, alleging that multiple neighbors heard or witnessed Genovese's murder but did nothing to help her. Um, let's see. And yeah, then it was 38 witnesses, 37 or 38. So the bystander effect. The phenomenon, called the bystander effect or the Genovese syndrome, attempts to explain why someone witnessing a crime would not help the victim. Um, So these two people studied it, and witnesses are less likely to help a crime victim if there are other witnesses. So if there's a big crowd, the more witnesses, the less likely any one person will intervene. The bystander effect was used by the press as a parable of a morally bankrupt modern society losing its compassion for others, particularly in cities. I mean, it doesn't get any bigger, at least in the United States, than New York City. So you'd figure, okay, the bigger the city, the more that this would happen, possibly. Um, But then there was decades following the murder, a journalistic movement began to correct the misinformation. Misinformation. See, my spider senses always tingle when I see misinformation. I don't know. I don't know. So I don't know what to believe. They're saying it wasn't that, there weren't that many people. It wasn't 37, 38 people. But they did find a couple of people that said that they didn't want to get involved. Um, and so I don't know. I mean, I can tell you, back in the late '80s, early '90s, this is the case that we studied, and at that point in time, it was she's banging on doors, she's yelling, help me, I'm going to be killed or whatever, and no one would help her. That was the information that we had at the time. But this, it appears as though this happened again. With this subway incident. Just a terrible thing that happened, and no one would help her. Um, I don't know how else, yeah, this is a photo, but I've seen the video as well. I'm not going to play the video, but I don't know how else you would characterize this. Um, there was no swinging into action by the police as far as I could see. And I deeply respect the police. I covered the police for 25 years as a reporter. I work with them now in my current job, and have a deep respect for them. But I don't know how you justify this, or you know what I mean. Mm, man. So, but yeah, I truly believe that the Genovese effect is a real thing, and bystander effect, Genovese syndrome. I truly believe it is a real thing. People don't want to get involved, um, and it's a shame. But then I just did a video about people getting involved. There's a Kansas City bar where a dude came in with a knife and threatened, I guess, the employees at the bar, and just a whole bunch of dudes were like, "No, we're not going to take this," and they just picked up bar stools and started pelting the guy. They started launching these bar stools at the guy, and then he was eventually arrested. So we see both things. How about the plane flight in on 9/11, where flight 93, where a bunch of people on the plane rose up and attacked the terrorists, knowing that they were probably going to lose their lives, but doing it anyway because they had a good idea that they were on a suicide mission, and that they would save more lives by sacrificing their own. So truly, we've seen some great examples of people, um, who answer the call and take things into their own hands. So we've seen both sides of it. It's just a shame that this happens, this bystander effect. But yeah, that's immediately what I thought of when I saw this right here, and when I saw things like this from that incident. It's just terrible. And you hope that as a human that that you would be able to do something. That if you were in that situation, I often wonder, like, if I was in that situation, would I do anything? Would I freeze? Would I run? What would I do? When it really comes down to it, and you grasp it, and you're like, oh my God, this is happening. And hopefully there's something inside of you that causes you to act. Um, hopefully that happens. Take action. I try to kind of tell myself that. Take action. Because yeah, human instinct is don't do anything, freeze or flight rather than fight. Anyway, so I had to talk about that a little bit. Let me know your thoughts on all this, on the bystander syndrome, the bystander effect, Genovese syndrome, whatever you want to call it. Let me know your thoughts on all this, and I will talk to you later.